Welcome to November's live Crimewatch UK. We've 3 reconstructions tonight and an Aladdin's cave of property that might be yours. Behind me are the detectives who are investigating this month's cases, and right now they're waiting for your call. The number throughout the evening is there 01811 8055.
We started last month with an appeal on the murder of the 2 small girls from Brighton, Nicola Fellows and Karen Hadaway. Our reconstruction prompted 200 people to ring in, but there was no immediate breakthrough. Police are still receiving a lot of help locally. They interviewed one local teenager for over 50 hours. He's now been released on police bail. But Detective Superintendent Bernie Wells tells us that several lines of inquiry are still open, and if you still think you have any information, please do call us or your local police station.
We had a huge response to our reconstruction of the Susie Lamplugh case. Susie, a London estate agent, disappeared after leaving the office where she worked, apparently to meet a client. 260 viewers phoned us and over 100 more wrote in about the case. A team of 10 detectives is still sorting through that information. As yet, though, they haven't solved the mystery. So if you saw Susie on or after the 28th of July, your information will certainly be crucial. Please call us.
The most hopeful case from last month is the armed robbery on an exclusive jeweller's in London's Bond Street. The robbers burst in through the partition wall, having broken into an empty property next door. There were calls from Scotland to Kent on those Art Deco pieces which were stolen. One caller from Edinburgh gave the name of a known London jewel thief. The man lives in Spain, but he was in the country at the time of the robbery. Those and other leads are being pursued, and of course the enormous reward is still outstanding.
And news on an appeal from the incident desk back in April. We showed you this video fit of a man wanted in connection with a rape in Basildon in Essex. Well, a viewer recognised that face and called the incident room on the Sunday after the programme. The same day, a 17-year-old youth was arrested and charged with unlawful wounding and with rape. Last month, he pleaded guilty at Chelmsford Crown Court and was given 2 life sentences.
Well, we start tonight with a series of 6 armed robberies, all carried out by one man, and all of them in the northeast of England. No one has been hurt yet, but the man is always armed and the gun has already gone off accidentally. Police firmly believe that if there's a next time, somebody could be killed. They already know quite a lot about the man. This is one of the files of witness statements, and there are 2 more like this one. But tonight, detectives are asking for your help to put a name to him. The first raid was in December 1984 in Stockton in Cleveland. It was just a week before Christmas, and the takings at the Asda supermarket were high. This security van collection was at 6 p.m. In that first raid, he got away with £14,000. Since then, he's carried out 5 more robberies, all of them in Teesside and Darlington. The second raid was 1 year later, in January '85. Again in Stockton, his target this time was the Group 4 office. It was another raid on a cash van, and he fired a shotgun as he got away. Raid 3 was in Darlington. It was Easter Monday, and again it was Group 4. Security guard Philip Meekings was collecting the takings.
Give us the money. Give us the money. Give us the money. Let's go. Give us the money.
That raid on Morrison's was the first in daylight. This time he'd taken £11,000.
Put the alarm on me!
The getaway routine was becoming a familiar pattern. A stolen car with false number plates we should abandon a mile or so away. And the way he'd acquire the getaway cars was becoming a trademark too. He always steals fairly old cars, often Minis or Escorts, usually from residential streets. Police believe he sometimes pushes the car until it's safe to start the engine. The robber obviously knows Darlington and Teesside well. All the cars had been stolen locally from Middlesbrough and Thornaby. He's also something of a mechanic. Every car he's stolen has been found with its engine tuned and in better condition than it was before. He probably likes music because he steals cassette tapes from the car and any tools. He also makes up the false number plates. Raid 4 at another branch of Asda at Southbank on Teesside. This time the getaway car was found 1.5 miles away. 3 weeks later at Fine Fair in Darlington, he left behind 2 disturbing clues. A live shotgun cartridge was found in the car park, and in the front passenger seat of the abandoned car, police found this loaded pistol. Raid 6, the most recent to date, was on August the 9th, the second attack at Morrison's in Darlington. Group 4 security called first to collect the takings at the Morrison petrol station, probably giving the robber an early sight of his target. After the last robbery there in March, the security arrangements had been changed. Instead of walking through the busy shopping mall, the guards now used a side entrance. The only part of the new route where the guard was exposed was the short walk through the record department to the cash office.
Number 33.
There were 3 bags to be collected and carried out one at a time. The guard was Philip Meekings, the same man who'd been attacked 5 months before. As the guard went back for the 3rd bag, a sales assistant noticed a man crouching behind a record rack.
Give us the money or I'll blast you this time.
The guard and Adrian Webb, a junior manager, followed the gunman to see where he was heading. Adrian Webb was within yards of the robber as he reached the getaway car. It was the best description so far of the gunman's face. The robber had his getaway carefully planned. He turned off the road onto waste ground, known as 5 Arches. He was seen running towards the Springfield estate. What he didn't know was that the bag he was carrying contained not money, but cheques, which would be worthless. Well, Detective Chief Inspector Ken Lavery, there's so much information on him and yet no name to fit the face yet. If we could see the video fit we've made up, could you describe him again?
Yes, the man's aged between 35 and 45. He has what's described as a weather-beaten face of hawker appearance. He's between 5'8" and 5'10" tall and of sturdy build.
With his mechanical skills, do you think it's possible that somebody in the motor trade anywhere around the country might recognise him?
He obviously has good skills, and we feel that he may well have worked as a motor mechanic at some time, and we would ask anybody in the motor trade who recognises the photo of it to contact us.
Do you think he's a local man, though?
He has a very good knowledge of both Darlington and Teesside. However, we can't eliminate the fact that he lives out of the area and travels back into the area in view of the fact that one of the cars had over 300 miles on the clock when it was recovered.
Could I see the gun? You brought in the gun that was found in the Mini after the Fine Fair robbery.
Yes. This is the gun. It's a Remington automatic. It was issued to the American services in the Second World War for use in Europe. When the gun was found, it was fully loaded and in a position to shoot somebody. The safety catch was off.
So you're hoping somebody might recognise that gun?
We most certainly are. We want anybody who recognises this weapon to contact us because we feel that had this man been cornered at this time, he would have shot whoever cornered him.
Is it unusual in your experience to find a man working so much alone like that?
It is. The man steals the car himself. He then tunes the car up, He commits the robbery by himself. He then makes good his escape by himself. When you have a man who is a loner, it makes it much more difficult to detect and potentially makes him more dangerous because he's got so much more to lose.
And obviously you're anxious to catch them as soon as possible. You said there are 3 rewards on offer.
Yes, the security companies have each put up £5,000 reward, a total of £15,000 reward for anybody giving information leading to the arrest.
Well, let's hope you can help. Remember, the man is armed and he carries live ammunition. If you can help, the number here to the studio is 01811 8055, or ring the Darlington Police, and that's on 0325 467 681. That's 0325, the code for Darlington, 467 681.
Now, Incident Desk, where the police appeal to you directly. This month they're after bogus bobbies in Bristol, the killer of an old woman in Herne Bay in Kent, and whoever's responsible for taking and driving away a speedboat from Aberdeen. Here are Police Constable Helen Phelps and Superintendent David Hatcher.
First on Incident Desk, 2 armed robberies outside the same branch of Lloyds Bank in Camden, North London. In the first raid, 2 men threatened the guard with a sawn-off shotgun and got away with £25,000. That was on July the 4th. These pictures from another security van were taken on October the 31st. This time the robbers dropped the cash bag when it exploded with dye and smoke. But the pictures contained 2 clues. The Volkswagen Golf GTI disappeared from the scene shortly after the robbery. The number, A68XGN, is completely false. That registration has never been issued. The owner may not know this, but we'd still like to know where the car is now. And we'd also like to know who this is. We can't tell from the pictures whether this man also carried out the first raid, but he clearly did this one. Ring us if you know him.
And now a sad case from my own area, Herne Bay in Kent. Mabel Crandell was 89. Since her husband died 10 years ago, she'd lived an almost reclusive life. In the early hours of September the 1st, the fire brigade was called to her bungalow at 30 Station Road. The place was devastated, and she was found inside, battered to death. Whoever had robbed and killed her had started the fire with petrol. Detectives want to trace a BMC van and a man seen with it.
He was seen speaking to Mrs. Crandell in her garden the day before she was killed. He's a white man, he's about 30, gypsy looking, and he's got dark hair with blonde streaks in it.
What was he wearing?
He was wearing one of these. A green combat jacket with epaulets.
Now, what about this van?
Well, as you can see, it's a J4 BMC van. It's an old one. There's very few of them about, and we couldn't get a brown one today. We had to get a blue, to use a blue one. It was of tatty appearance, it had a ladder rack, and it also had some lettering on the side.
The man could be from anywhere. He may be a traveller. He may claim to do odd jobs. He may be selling something. Remember, a brown J4 van and a man with dyed blonde streaks. Seen him? Give us a ring.
Next to 3 con men who've been operating all over the country as well as abroad. So far they've got away with £20,000 by cashing travellers' cheques stolen from the travel agents in Hartlepool. They used forged passports as a means of identification, but on 3 occasions bank staff have become suspicious and held the forged passports. This man used the name Paul Alder when he tried to cash stolen travellers' cheques at a branch of Lloyds in Birmingham. A second man used the name Lawrence Carr in London, and like the first, he made off when the staff seized the passport. And this was taken at the Clydesdale Bank in Glasgow. The man here seemed to sense he was being watched and left without completing the transaction. These 3 men could come from Merseyside, and they could be part of a much larger team specialising in travel agency fraud. If you know them, ring us.
Our next case involves a sinister type of deception, bogus policemen. On the 14th of October, 2 men called on an elderly lady in Bristol. They claimed to be detectives investigating the theft of antiques. But once inside the house, they told Mrs. Newton that she was under arrest and handcuffed her wrists and ankles. One of them was in his late 20s, 6 foot and slim, and while he watched over Mrs. Newton, his accomplice ransacked the house. He was shorter, just 5'5", but stocky. In all, they stole £4,500 worth of antiques, including 3 rather unusual musical bird boxes, like this. They're beautifully detailed, and Mr. and Mrs. Newton would dearly love them back. If you've seen any going cheap, so to speak, or if you recognise this face, please call us. Information leading to a conviction carries a £1,000 reward.
Finally, it can't be easy to conceal one of these. It's a Fletcher 170 Bravo speedboat, and there are just 18 of them in the country with these red and grey flashes. A month ago, one of those 18 was stolen from outside the owner's home at Kintore, Aberdeenshire. It was fitted with a Mercury 200 horsepower engine. Now that's far too powerful for a boat of this kind, so it's probably the only combination of its type in the country. The boat, and there's its serial number, was towed away on its trailer during the night of October the 14th. So if you've seen a speedboat like this heading south and its last sighting was near Perth, then please ring us. And call us too if you can help with any of the other incident desk cases.
And as always, the number 01 811 8055. 01 811 8055.
Our next film is about the sad death of Lorna Hales, sometimes known as Lorna Black, a bubbly, exuberant young woman who, underneath the smiles, may have been rather lonely. She had a 12-year-old son and seemed upset that his adoptive parent was taking him to live abroad. To the world, she remained vivacious and energetic. She was very small, incidentally, just 5 feet tall. Now, around the 1st of August, perhaps as the result of an argument that got out of hand, someone who probably knew her killed her by plunging a carving fork into her neck. The reconstruction begins, though, 1 month after that, on the afternoon of Friday, the 29th of August, in South London. Tasman Road in Brixton. Police were called to investigate a swarm of flies at number 5. Lorna hadn't been seen for weeks and her neighbours were concerned. She was lying on the bedroom floor and forensic tests showed she'd been there since the beginning of the month. She was probably killed on Friday, the 1st of August.
How's Instagram? Can I help you?
Detectives have had a great deal of cooperation. Everyone liked Lorna, and they can find no reason for her murder. But maybe you can fill some crucial gaps in the calendar they've built up of her final weeks. This is a week before she died, the City of London, on Thursday, July the 24th. Lorna arrived for work as usual at Call Quick Printers in Chamomile Street, but suddenly packed in her job. Before she left that day, she was her normal, talkative self, and this colleague remembers her saying she was planning a fundraising barbecue for her local Labour Party. To make friends and earn a little extra cash, Lorna helped out in the Brixton Town Hall Social Club. She was last seen here on Friday evening, the 25th of July. The day after, on Saturday the 26th, she came here to Young's Court in Battersea. She still had the keys to her old flat here. She'd sublet the place, but now still called round from time to time.
Part 3 of the Best of Rod. We start with a top 5 hit from the beginning of 1978.
Hi.
Hot Legs.
How are you?
All right.
All right?
Yeah.
Great.
I just come to pick up some things.
That's very good.
This man, Albert, was her tenant, and he recalls that Lorna was planning to go out that afternoon and had called round for a special dress.
Hey, girl, where are you going dressed up like this?
I'm going to a fashion party.
Great.
Did I look nice?
You look beautiful.
This photo shows Lorna in that very dress. She'd hardly be missed in all that striking gold. And yet, still detectives don't know whose party or whose fashion parade Lorna was going to that day. The next day, Sunday, was the day of Lorna's barbecue. But curiously, at 2:30, just before it was due to start, she asked a fellow Labour Party helper to give her a lift here to Clapham Road.
Goodbye. Thanks for the lift. I'll see you later.
All right, see you, Lola. Bye-bye.
She said she had to go to Putney. It may not be significant, but this is another gap in Lorna's last week. Did she go to Putney that afternoon? She could have taken the Victoria or Northern lines to almost anywhere from Stockwell Tube. By 9 o'clock that evening, her barbecue was almost over, except for two couples who arrived late. They apparently knew Lorna, but no one else there knew them. The police say they want them to call in to Crimewatch, simply so they know who these people were. Clapham Common on Wednesday, the 30th of July. It's now about 2 days before Lorna died. The police know she came here that afternoon to hire some videotapes. She had no work that week, and detectives would like to know how else she filled her time.
Hello.
Even without work, Lorna always kept herself busy. On Thursday lunchtime at the laundrette in Landor Road, these women remember her calling to see if they were free for a sales demonstration at her home that evening.
Are you coming to my handweight party tonight?
I can't, I've got to have my hair re-permed. But can you still order what we wanted? Bleach and a floor cleaner?
I suppose I could do.
Oh, thanks, Lorna.
Bye.
All right, bye, Lorna. Probably see you again tomorrow.
For Lorna, the salesman's visit that evening was another chance to have people round to her house. But though she'd invited others, no one else turned up for the demonstration. The salesman recalls Lorna seemed quite relaxed.
Very clean.
That's basically it. This will last you in the course of about a year.
The salesman left by 9:15, and as far as is known, no one else called round that evening, and Lorna didn't go out. Tasman Road on the morning of Friday, August the 1st. Lorna's papers were delivered, and then there's one last sighting of her as she popped into the laundrette again. As always, she put on a bubbly, cheerful and optimistic front.
I've got an interview in North London with this writer. As a travelling nanny, it means travelling all over the place.
That sounds great. Good luck.
Thanks very much.
Let us know how you get on. Bye.
Oh, by the way, I've ordered your cleaning stuff.
Right, thanks. Bye.
Cheers.
And Mr. Richards, that was a curious thing that Lorna said just at the end there. She said that she was going for this job as a travelling nanny. She already knew, I gather, that she hadn't got that job.
Yes, that's true, but Lorna's the sort of girl who'd find it very difficult to admit failure. She wanted success.
She wanted friends.
Yes.
You're pretty sure it was one of the friends that killed her. Now, why do you think that? Why was it someone who knew her?
Well, in most murder cases, of course, it's a friend or somebody who they know. In Lorna's case, we do know she was cautious. She did not open the door to anyone. She either peeped round the curtains before she let anyone in, and I don't think she would let anyone in at that time of the night unless she knew them well.
Now, as I said in the film, you've had enormous cooperation. Her friends have tried to help when they've known you've wanted them. You've traced dozens already, I gather.
Yes, we have. We've spoken to more than 200 people.
But there are still others you need to get in contact with you?
Yes, there are. There are some, I'm sure, who don't even know we're making our inquiries.
Any in particular?
Yes, well, I have a calendar here, which used to hang in her kitchen. And as you can see, on the 9th of August, is detailed a wedding.
Saturday the 9th of August, wedding, it says. She never went, of course, because by then she was dead. But who invited her?
That's exactly what we want to know.
Right. That gold dress she was wearing, now obviously that was very, very distinctive. Nobody's come forward who saw her in that.
No, nobody at all, and I don't believe she would have gone very far away from Battersea, possibly on that Doddington estate where she used to live. Somebody there can come forward and help us.
Right. You've brought an address book.
Yes, I have. This address book was from her handbag, and it shows a party.
There it is in pencil. A party on the 2nd of August, 1986. So who invited Lorna Hales to a party on the 2nd of August, 1986? Whoever it was, please contact us. Of course, the other thing from the film were those latecomers to the barbecue.
Yes, we still don't know who they are. They could fill in a very important part of the last days of her life. And it's vital that they come forward and talk to us.
Who are they? Any idea?
I've no idea who they are. These are other friends who we just cannot find at the moment.
Now, I gather you have some reason to believe that this was an accidental killing. In other words, whoever did it may not have intended, really, death to be the outcome.
Yes, I've got that very much in mind. And anybody who perhaps is watching this programme, he could rest assured that if he contacts us, we can think it may have been an accident. We're quite willing to talk about that. I think it was a temper and perhaps an immediate accident, an accident with one stab wound.
Well, if whoever did it is watching, do please call. Obviously, it's better if you call the police than they call on you. If you've got suspicions, then if you were involved in any of the incidents that we've shown, if you're a friend of hers, if in any way you can help, here's the number, 01811 8055, 01811 8055, or of course you can call the incident room. That's on 01326 1212. That's 01326 1212.
Well, now our Aladdin's Cave. If you've ever been burgled, you might spot a long-lost treasure and help convict a burglar in the process. Here to describe it all is John Bly from the Antiques Roadshow. John.
Thank you, Sue. Now, probably the saddest part of Aladdin's Cave is when we have things that are of no commercial value, but are irreplaceable and beyond value to the owners. This sort of thing. A plated cup in the Georgian style. It's not very old, it's not very valuable, but it's somebody's pride and joy. And the inscription reads, the Swinton and Pendlebury Licensed Victuallers Association, Kelsall Cup. Anyway, on to something a bit brighter. There's a little corner cupboard. I suppose it was made about 1900, and it's continental, and certainly any corner would look different without that. And on it standing quite a good example of a Chinese porcelain bowl of a type we know as Canton. You know, it's extraordinary, the amount of Oriental art we have in this country. Look at this collection of ivories, for example. Now, these little standing figures have always been popular. They represent all walks of life, and they're made in a great variety of qualities, from pretty good, wonderful, down to really rather poor. These, I'm glad to say, are absolutely exceptional. I particularly like this little chap. You see, all these arrows are absolutely separate, and they all come out. And if you want real quality, you'll see his purse there lying on the floor. Well, there's a silk cord, and at the end of that is a little button called a netsuke. That stops his purse dropping through from his belt, because that's how the Japanese always carried their purses. You want to see one in action? There it is. There's the little netsuke, there's the belt, and there's the purse hanging from it. That, again, a wonderful quality figure. Now, I don't think we've ever had anything before from the Grand Tour of Europe. Now, here's a pretty pair of paintings. They're hand-done, but believe it or not, those were the sort of things that the wealthy tourists used to collect, like we collect postcards today. Now, over there on the other side, we've got another collection of Oriental porcelain and potteries, from Japanese and Chinese. And right in the center, we've got a set of 4 Satsuma vases standing either side of the large square one, which incidentally is extremely difficult to make, and which someone might recognize because it's had its top cut off. You see that uneven edge. Now, if you look at these enamel vases, you'll see how the Japanese design played a large part in the arts and crafts movement in England, culminating in a style we know as Art Nouveau. And here's a wonderful example. This was made for Liberties, and the mark underneath, it's solid silver, the mark underneath shows from the letter Z that it's made in 1899 in Birmingham, denoted by the anchor. And there is an inscription on the top, which says here, a man's gladness is a friend's joy. Now, there aren't too many precisely like that, and I suppose it's worth about £1,000 today. From one extreme to the other. As I said earlier, we've so many things of no interest to anyone except the owner. Medallions, presentation watches, running medals. These belong to Elizabeth Coxhill from Northenden. But to end on a real Aladdin's Cave note, look at this, 2 diamonds, each of which is worth well in excess of £35,000.
And if you think there's anything there that belongs to you, just call the number here in the studio, 01811 8055.
One of the cases on September's incident desk was the abduction of an 8-year-old boy, Jamie Thomas, from Lincoln. He went out to play on his bike, but didn't come home. He'd met a man who took him over 50 miles away to Peterborough. Police are anxious that unless this man is traced, another child might be taken. To the relief of his parents, Jamie did turn up the following day. He'd managed to escape. But his account of what happened is somewhat confused. From what he has been able to tell police and from some eyewitness reports, we have now put together a reconstruction of the events of Wednesday, the 27th of August. As Jamie set off on his bike, he promised he'd be back for tea. But as his mother later discovered, he'd emptied his piggy bank of about £9 worth of savings and he headed straight for the city centre. He was fed up that day. He and his family had to come back early from their seaside holiday because the weather was so bad. Jamie doesn't have a lot of friends, and his main interests at the time were his new kitten and his bike. A neighbour of Jamie's saw him just after 5, cycling around Lincoln's main shopping precinct. At that stage, he was on his own. 6 o'clock at Lincoln Station. A passenger had just got off a train from Grimsby.
Excuse me, are you the person in charge here?
Yes, I am.
Well, I just got off the Grimsby to London train because somebody at Grimsby told me there'd been a derailment and I had to get a bus from here to Newark.
That was the case, but normal service is now in operation.
Well, no one told me that, and I've got to be in London by 8 o'clock.
The man then seemed to resign himself to a 2-hour wait at Lincoln.
It's 21:15.
Over an hour later, Jamie was still in the precinct. It was well past his tea time. It seems this was when Jamie met his abductor. A witness saw a man carrying a white carrier bag walking a pace behind the boy.
Oh goody, here comes a train.
Minutes later, he was cycling towards Lincoln Station.
What about my bike?
Don't worry about the bike, we'll put it on the train.
Right.
This was the 8:28 local train to Newark. A smartly dressed woman got into the same carriage. She spoke to both the man and Jamie during the half-hour journey. One witness noticed the man kept combing his hair.
Where's my bike?
It's all right, it's in the guard's van.
The woman may have vital information, but so far she hasn't come forward.
Mama, bike.
9 p.m, Newark Station. There was 15 minutes to wait now for the London connection. The station manager remembers them well.
Is this bike yours?
It's my bike.
Oh, well, I'm afraid he'll not be able to load it on the train here. Would you mind taking it down to the guard's van and load it at the rear of the train, please? Would you mind not riding it, son, please? Just walk it down to the bottom. Would you mind?
Come on, we'll walk it down then.
Right, thank you very much.
It seems they didn't go as far as London. They got off the 125 King's Cross train at Peterborough. Jamie roughly remembers the route they took from the station.
Where are we going?
Don't worry, it's not far.
He remembers going past the taxi rank. They followed the cycle track by the A15, Bourges Boulevard, and turned right into this underpass to cross the main road.
What did you say your name was again?
You can call me Steve. Or Dad.
The cycle track continues past Johnson's Frozen Foods. Jamie remembers the graffiti there. From his description, it seems he was taken to an upstairs flat. He had a bedroom to himself and apparently wasn't molested. Piecing together the information Jamie's been able to give them, police believe the flat is somewhere around Cromwell Road and Gladstone Street in Peterborough, an area full of flats and bedsits. Next morning, he was given some breakfast. Then, finding himself alone, quite simply, he let himself out and set off towards Peterborough on his bike. He spent that morning cycling around close to where he'd stayed the night, between the Cromwell Road area and the Queensgate shopping precinct. Then he left his bike to go and look in the window of the cycle shop at Cowgate. In those few moments, the bike had disappeared.
I've lost my bike.
Hello, son. What's your name?
Jamie.
Well, Detective Sergeant Brian Bullock has been working on the case. What sort of man do you think that was who took Jamie?
A very strange man indeed. He befriended a small 8-year-old boy in the city centre of Lincoln, and then he took him many miles away from his home on a train. He kept the boy in a house or a flat during the night, and perhaps if Jamie hadn't have left the following morning, there might have been a different story.
Do you think he really was called Steve?
He possibly could have been called Steve, but he did ask Jamie to call him Steve or Dad nearly at the beginning.
What does he look like? Can we have his description?
He's described as about 5'7" to 5'10", 40 to 55 years of age, and his hair is described as thinning on top, fair or light-coloured, and rather straggly at the back. He was wearing a two-coloured nylon anorak, and he was carrying a blue holdall with a shoulder strap.
Is your most important witness the woman who was on the same train as Jamie and the man?
Yes, we have this lady being seen off at Lincoln by a gentleman carrying a set of trade plates. The lady is described as very smart, middle-aged, and during the 30-minute journey from Lincoln to Newark, she had a long conversation with Jamie's abductor, and we would like to trace her and obviously the man carrying the trade plates who saw her off.
Right, they obviously knew each other. Could we just recap on the geography of it? Could you, Jamie, I know, took you back along the route from Peterborough Station. If you could take us along the route.
Yes, we took Jamie back to Peterborough, and as he says, he left the railway station and turned left, walked past the taxis, along the A15 road, and then he went under the subway, under the main road, and this eventually led across a grassy patch which led to Cobden Street, which is near Cromwell Road and Gladstone Street in Peterborough. And there Jamie is lost. He can't tell us any more where he was that night.
As we said, his bike was stolen from the area. That still hasn't turned up the next
We
time.
haven't found his bike, no.
The most important appeal, presumably, must be to anyone in that area of Peterborough who's seen a man who looks like our description. Perhaps we can see that one more time.
Yes, somebody must know this man. They must work with him, be friends with him, or even live with him. This is a story with a very happy ending. But perhaps the next little child that's taken away may not be quite as happy and lucky as Jamie.
Well, Mr. Bullock, thank you. If you recognise that face, or if you think you know where Jamie was taken, do call us now on 01 811 8055 or ring Lincoln Police on 0522 29911. That's 0522, the code for Lincoln, 29911.
We have a full 40 lines here at the studio. Please, though, do keep trying if they're all busy. All the phone numbers are on CFAX. If you have it, that's on page 186 of CFAX, or you can write to us in confidence. The address is Crimewatch UK, BBC TV, London W12 8QT. And let me tell you, we've had some very encouraging calls this evening. We may have identified at least one of those chequebook fraudsters. We've also got somebody who's on the phone right now giving very important information about that armed raider in Darlington, and an appeal. Would the person who rang and identified the 4 people who were latecomers to that barbecue at Lorna Hells's on the 27th of July, that Sunday evening, would the person who made that phone call please call us back?
Well, we'll be back with our update after question time. That's at 20 to 12. If you won't be staying up that late, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for calling, if you did. And by the way, next month, that's December the 18th, we'll be back at our usual time, 9:30.
And remember, the violent crimes we show really are extremely rare, and with your help, right now, some of tonight's cases are being solved. So, unless you're responsible for one of them, don't have nightmares. Do please sleep well. Good night.
Good night.